ever find yourself like really struggling to focus when you're in the wrong spot?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Trying to work from the couch, you've been there.
Yep, every day.
It's just never as good.
Never.
Turns out that whole idea, this connection between like your physical space and how well you think, might be surprisingly overlooked in a whole medical field.
Really?
We're diving into the world of radiology today
Okay.
with this excerpt from a piece called "The Zen and the Art of Radiology."
The Zen and the Art of Radiology. Interesting.
Yeah, and it gets pretty deep, actually.
Okay.
Philosophical even. But first, a little something that got me thinking while I was prepping for this. The foreword mentions how professional societies, the ones who kind of set the rules for a field,
Right.
they can sometimes act like gatekeepers. Oh, interesting.
Steering things in a specific direction.
Oh,
So I'm curious to see how that might play out, in the context of radiology.
yeah.
So jumping into the excerpt, the author's argument is pretty bold.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they're saying that with all the amazing technology we have in radiology now, like, we've kind of ignored something crucial.
Yeah.
The actual physical space where radiologists work.
Yeah.
They're analyzing these incredibly complex images, CT scans, 3D models, all of that.
Right.
But is their workspace actually designed to support that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And it's funny because when you think about how much radiology has changed, I mean, decades ago, it was mostly just x-rays, right?
Right.
And now you have a single patient who might have the equivalent of, hundreds of images from a CT scan or an MRI.
It's a completely different world in terms of the sheer volume of data.
I honestly hadn't even considered that.
Yeah.
But okay, so say the workspace isn't keeping up. What's the big deal?
Well, I mean, imagine a pilot trying to land a plane, but they've given him the control panel from a bicycle.
Okay.
The tools have to match the task, right?
Right.
And in radiology, if a misdiagnosed scan happens because, I don't know, a radiologist's chair is giving them back problems, or the lighting is terrible,
Oh, wow.
that has a real impact potentially on patient care.
Okay, yeah, that's a much clearer way to put it. And it makes you realize, like, we just take those design elements for granted. Speaking of overlooking things, the author uses this really loaded term. They actually claim there's a conspiracy to ignore this workspace issue.
A conspiracy.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we're just, presenting the author's argument here, not taking sides.
Of course, of course.
But it is a pretty strong word choice.
It is. It is a strong word choice. I mean, a literal conspiracy is probably unlikely, right?
Right.
But it does make you wonder, why hasn't this been addressed more? And I think part of it might be tradition. Medical education, especially in a specialized field like radiology, it often relies so heavily on, basically, apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So if ergonomics weren't really emphasized in the past, those habits, that way of thinking, it gets passed down to the next generation.
It's like inheriting a messy desk setup from your predecessor and never, like, stopping to ask if it actually works for you.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have the nature of radiology itself. I mean, it's always been so focused on that intellectual process.
Right. Interpreting the images, making the diagnosis.
Right. Interpreting those images, making sense of those really complex visuals, the physical part of it, like just the act of sitting at a workstation, almost an afterthought.
That reminds me of something we're all dealing with these days. Digital overload.
Oh, tell me about it.
I mean, we're just flooded with information constantly. Emails, notifications.
Social media.
Yeah, some days my brain feels as cluttered as my inbox. Does this excerpt offer any insights into, like, managing that kind of overload?
That's a great parallel. And it's interesting because the author actually argues that AI, which a lot of people think is going to solve this problem.
Right.
They think it might actually make it worse.
Right.
Yeah. Exacerbate that data deluge.
Yeah.
So their main takeaway, we need to start talking about this. Even if we aren't radiologists, it's a call to examine how our workspaces either help us think or actually make it harder.
It's about being mindful, right? Taking that step back and asking yourself, does this environment actually help me do my best work?
Exactly.
What can we learn from those spaces where we feel sharp, focused, productive? Like, I know I'm guilty of trying to work from bed sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not peak performance. This deep dive really has given me a new perspective on all this.
Yeah.
It's so easy to overlook the physical space when you're caught up in the intellectual part of a task,
It really is.
But they're both important,
Yeah.
especially in a field as important as radiology. So here's something I want you to think about. Where do you feel most mentally sharp? Where's your Zen zone? What can we learn from those spaces that we can maybe apply to other parts of our lives? Let me know.